It has been a very busy return to Circuit of the Americas just outside of Austin, Texas, after opening the championship there in March. Back again for another visit during this season. And to wrap things up for the TC America side of the program, it is going to be round number 14 for the TCR and TCA classes. And it's all part of the, again, TC America Championship. And Calvin Fish, it couldn't happen at a more challenging, and for these cars in particular, fun track.
What a circuit, Greg. Just under 3.5 miles, 20 turns to deal with, and 3 very distinct sectors here. Sector 1 in green, big launch off the start. You're climbing uphill 133 feet to the brake zone, very wide there, plenty of action throughout the course of the race, particularly on that opening lap. Then you wind down through the S's to start sector 2. Big brake zone down into the far right corner there. That is turn 11. Got to get up that corner quickly to launch down the back straightaway. Big moves down into turn 12. That's where we start sector 3. Then it gets really tight. But there's a number of lines through that final sector, Greg. We could see some big moves happening there as well.
Yeah, and with these smaller, very nimble touring car category machines, you can get real creative in some of those twisty bits. Makes it very exciting. There is a look at the front row with Victor Gonzalez setting fast lap in yesterday's race on pole. Scott Smithson alongside and going a little bit deeper into the field here. Again, a strong lap by Olivia Askew, has her starting inside of row 2 alongside Roy Block. Then it is your championship clincher, basically. That is Tyler Maxson and CJ Moses alongside. And then we go back to the TCA category. And as you take a look at the starting lineup here, the interesting in this category is the streak that Kevin Boehm is starting to put together.
Yeah, 5 wins in a row now. And with that 29-point lead in the championship, fellow front row starter Thomas Mejia had a bad end to the race yesterday. He's running up in the top 3, dropped all the way back and lost 12 points at the same time. And that's opened that gap up. He's got to respond here today.
And taking a look here a little bit deeper into the field, you can see the Signal Hyundai right there of Caleb Bacon next door, the number 28, and that is Ben Bettenhausen. Yes, one of the Bettenhausen family that is here racing with us. And an ad here at the back of the field here, Matt Pombo is joining the program for Mini JCW.
There are Pombos in the field. They always put on a great show. And think about Tyler Maxson clinching the championship here this weekend. 2 wins so far, but he's had not the fastest car in the field. That Hyundai is struggling for pace here a little bit, so it's a great performance by him with his racecraft to get those wins. He was almost a second off the time that was set by our pole sitter, Victor Gonzalez, in the race yesterday, but still brought it home to the top step of the podium. So those Hondas look really quick here this weekend. They could be tough to beat. I think Smithson's looked really racy. He had that spin early on that cost him dearly.
And you notice that at the back of the field, the number 60 of Pombo has moved back. He was actually turned 3rd quick lap. So there's a story there, but there's another one that's unfolding with a gentleman who's been a championship contender all season, but it's kind of gone pear-shaped on him. Ryan?
Well, Victor Gonzalez is certainly one to keep an eye on. Tyler Gonzalez, definitely, if you're talking about having a great start to the season and things not going quite his way. There's no question about that. He and the Copeland guys are still trying to get this all sorted out, so they've got a chance at that championship headed into Indianapolis. But as far as Victor Gonzalez goes, starting on pole, he is desperately looking for that first win of the season. 7 podium finishes coming into this weekend, but has not scored that breakthrough victory yet. Now starting on pole, they do think they've got the car that can get it done. Some sway bar changes overnight to help with some compliance. They think the car is going to be well set up. But again, as we learned yesterday, guys, keep in mind, this is the lone car in the TCR field that does not have ABS. The rest of the Honda runners do, the Hyundai does, the Alfa does. But because they got this car directly from Europe, or they don't use ABS in TCR competition in general, this car did not come with that. So Victor's going to have to do some pedaling, no question about that, and they hope when they get to Indianapolis that ABS system will be cleared from customs and they'll be good to go. But with the focus on today, they think starting out front with the changes they made overnight, this car is going to be awfully fast.
Well, thanks very much, Ryan. And Cal, obviously you take a look for Victor, not having those driver aids on a free lap early when the tires are good. You know, he's obviously able to extract some really remarkable speed out of it, but as the tires wear, when those aids really start to help you a bit more, then it becomes more of a challenge.
It does, and particularly the sort of race we're anticipating where it tends to get elbows out a little bit, and particularly through this tight section where you suddenly have to lean on that middle pedal a little bit harder to maybe avoid someone. That's when it can catch you out.
And if you were tuned in earlier in the weekend, you knew that Taylor Hagler had been running with us for LA Honda World in her TCR category machine and not in the entry here. Well, this is a makeup race for the second of the races at St. Petersburg for the St. Pete Grand Prix. And it was only the one that there's only TCR and TCA cars. That's why there aren't any TC cars in this field. But secondly, if you weren't entered in that original race, you aren't allowed to run in the makeup race either. So, but we're hoping we'll see more of Taylor for sure. And you take a look here at the TCA. You know, you talked about Bohm, the problems for Mejia, Pombo now being moved back a little bit. But it's nice to see the speed we've seen in these last two races from those Subaru BRZ TSs. Coming out of the Techsport Racing program, we saw PJ Gronke with a pole and a fast lap at the races in Road American. We've seen Ben Bettenhausen a qualified second for one of the races here. David Sushishin having a strong run up and finishing in fourth as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out.
Yes, it certainly will. I mean, there's a number of manufacturers that were in with a shot here, but I think with Kevin Bohm, he's really got a handle on this Honda now. It's really performing really well, and the ability to get the car to turn with a front-wheel drive car is really the key to success and lap time, and they've figured that out now. Seems like they've hit the sweet spot with that machine, and even though Kevin got started relatively late in life with his racing career, he's now got a decade of racing under his belt and is really showcasing itself with his experience. The fact with a car that did not have the pace initially and had technical issues early in the season, this championship lead has been built, yes, by the 5 wins in a row, but really more about how he was able to score solid points results early in the season.
Being smart when he didn't have the equipment to go for the win, earning what he could, and then continuing tweaking. It's important to note that he does all the engineering and work on this car himself. He and Sharon and a couple of friends really are that program. It's not a big team, but they're very, very savvy. And Kevin, one, his engineering knowledge pays off huge here. He does all the work on his race cars himself, builds a lot of them himself if he's not in a category where it's to a certain spec. But the other side of the coin is he also has proven to be a very heady racer. Yeah, no, he really has. And I mean, it's not impossible for him to clinch the championship here today. He's got a 29-point lead. He'd need to win. Yeah, I mean, here basically to score no points, but it's certainly strong. He's going to be tough to beat for the title now. For Scott Smithson there in that beautiful blue Honda Civic Type R from DXDT Racing, I think Scott is going to be a little frustrated with himself because he's had a super fast car, and in one of the races he ended up with a spin while he was right up in the sharp end of things. And of course he's coming off of Road America where he had a couple of wins, so you get the taste of that. You want more.
You do, and the difficulty with these front-wheel drive machines is generating any rear tire temperature in these formation laps. So that's the real art to doing that, and I think he just got caught out by that. You see them weaving around, accelerating, using the brake pedal, but that's tending to load up the front end, so you have a little bit of an imbalance until you start to get a few more corners or laps underneath your belt.
We're starting to form up. Here's our TCA field with Bowen there, that AWS CrowdStrike entry on the class pole once again. And the field starting to get ready here. Victor behind the Acura NSX, the official safety vehicle of SRO Motorsports America, and starting to form up. What are we going to see here, I think, in the early going from Tyler Maxson? I think that's going to be one of the interesting things here. He's been able to put together a couple of wins, but you look at the times he's been setting, Cal, they aren't really at the sharp end of things.
No, so I think he's got to use his racecraft. He's got to get, up on the wheel early, try and maybe get halfway through this pack and then see what develops.
Sanctions are going to start to unfold here. Just a couple of corners. Here's the safety vehicle entering pit lane. Again, 40-minute sprint configuration here for this 14th round of TCR and TCA. Remember, the finish line is that first flag stand that they're just about to get to where that first white line is, but for the starts, the original starts, it's farther up the road underneath that gantry. Looking forward to getting this 14th round underway, and it flies, and immediately Victor Gonzalez moves up, and look at Olivia Askew. She's going to get down to the inside, try and park there, trap Smithson on the outside. See if that works for us. Smithson is going to try and just roll speed all the way through that corner.
Two teammates there trying to work together. Meanwhile, great start by Victor Gonzalez. Another good start for Tyler Gonzalez in the middle of the TCA pack as well, it looked like.
flow through. Yeah, and in that packet also, it looks like Pombo was able to jump in front, and Tyler Gonzalez as well. Ooh, and there's Oliviascu just getting it a little long. Might be exactly what you talked about with just not enough heat in those rear tires.
Yes, what happened to a teammate yesterday going through the S's there, just didn't have the grip in the rear end to make it stick.
And Maxson has been able to get around on Roy Block as well. So that was mission accomplished for him here. Up to third, halfway through the opening lap. And then in the background, you can see pole sitter and TCA Boehm has dropped to third. Gonzalez now going to take a look coming up the inside of Pombo. And makes that, a little touch there, I think. Al.
Yeah, Pombo on the gas early. Kevin Boehm now jumps out, trying to get the launch off that corner to try and get back to the front. Talking about the championship title potentially being won today. To do that, the only way that can happen, he first has to win the race and then see what happens to his nearest competitors.
Block gets back in front of Maxson.
Of course, yellow is probably for Olivia, maybe stranded over in the S's. I think I can see a car from here. There it is.
You just see those front tires are just buried down into the gravel. And I misspoke. It wasn't Mark Pombo who is at the back of the field. It was Mejia who started at the very back. Here's another look at the start. And watching the background here, what happens to Boehm. I mean, from the outside, that was a huge move by Pombo.
Yeah, he just got a big launch there, went really early, so we'll have to wait and see what they think about that one. And then here's the move coming through the S's, the two teammates together. Watch the third car in frame there. Oliviascu comes through there, just uses the curb and just turns on her in a hurry. Wow, it was abrupt.
Yeah, it just hooked and shot across.
Yeah, that was very strange.
Yeah.
It was a technical issue. That looked more than just cold rear tires to me. See Brian Sellers, I believe it is, yeah, right there on the radio to her, talking her through the situation. He's been coaching here over the last few weekends with great results.
Yes, indeed. You know, it's her first season of racing anything. She spent a lot of time just doing testing and track days and the like, but her racecraft, she's very new in that. But boy, her competitive instinct, one, we know is pretty well honed, and two, she's fearless and willing to go after it. And once she gets that racecraft to add to that equation, I think it's going to be a winning program. So Victor now did what he needed to do at the start of the race. She's got to maintain it in the restart. He certainly is showing some pace, but Smithson has been tough.
He has, and a little bit of a reset here, everyone. Having a chance to think about what happened in those initial laps, got a feel for their race cars. We have a Gonzalez leading both divisions right now. Roy Block there in that sinister black Alfa Romeo. He's been very competitive here over the last few weekends as we now get the safety crew out to Oliviascu's car.
And odds are, once they get her extracted, might just be able to continue, but she has lost a lap now.
Yeah, out of the reckoning, but really treat this as a test session and just build that learning curve. There we go.
She goes, and I, obviously with somebody the quality of Brian Sellers helping her with some coaching here, this is an opportunity to make lemonade out of a lemon moment for sure. But when she gets up, starts working through some of the TCA traffic and the like, to really have Brian work with her on how she goes after passes and sets things up, and that's all going to flatten out a relatively steep learning curve.
Yeah, I think I saw her father David Askew there on the pit wall, and I don't see anything wrong with the car in terms of, I wondered if maybe something had broken on the rear end to make it snap like that on her. So see if she stays out or whether she comes in and has the car checked out if she felt something amiss.
Well, I wonder, I mean, she had somebody on her outside, and as she, made that turn, and if she thought that person might be coming across and she turned harder or lifted so she didn't drift into them and had all that weight go to the front, who knows? I mean,
yeah, it doesn't take much, particularly on the opening lap. We said tire temperatures in the rear are so tough to attain.
There's that. Here's another look at it right here. And there wasn't really anybody on her outside, was there?
No, unless she was already sort of like pinching it over to the left to try and set up the following right-hander, but I didn't see that, so bit of a strange one.
Well, time for her just to put her head down and continue the learning process here. Lights are out. the Acura NSX, so it's pretty obvious once she was extracted, we were able to get right back to green flag, and it's still going to be plenty of racing once you get back to green.
Yeah, there is slightly shorter green flag run to the checkered flag, hopefully, than they were anticipating. We don't typically see too much action in terms of safety cars.
Yeah, with all the runoff here, this is one of the tracks where you simply cannot plan on a caution as part of your race strategy. Others, you might well be able to, but here, you've got to come up with another program, and we are about to come up with another green flag. Onto the front straight we go. There it is. We are back to green. And immediately Gonzalez moves over. I'll tell you, Smithson was glued to his rear deck. He made a great restart. He's easing ahead. Block going to come way down the inside. Gonzalez covers that.
Yeah, you got to be careful. You can't pass till the stripe on a restart, and that was really close there for Smithson as they accelerated up the front straightaway. That restart line is so far down the road.
Go now as Maxon works his way around Block again. He did this on the early lap before the caution came out. Block was able to fight back. Look at this, side by each through the S's here. Boehm thought about a huge slide by Matt Pombo. Held on to it. That's Newcomb, the 178 right around the outside for VGMC.
Honda's looking strong once again. Boehm there looking to the inside of Mark Pombo. Side by side here through the S's, giving him plenty of race room. The championship leader thinking big picture, but wanted to go for the position. Almost brushing paint there.
That was some really good close racing with a fair amount of respect. Boehm still's got that inside line. Big move here by Matt Pombo now on Newcomb, and Olivia Askew is trying to work up and through this group. He survives. It was a pretty serious little scrum there in 11.
It really was. You see the faster car to the left is Gonzalez on the defense here into the brake zone for turn 12. Maxon blocks side by side. Looks like the Alfa's a little bit quicker down the straightaway than the Hyundai.
Victor sticking to his normal line through there. Smithson was thinking about trying to get around the outside. Victor had enough pace to have him covered. There's Olivia now. She has cleared this group of TCA machines. Look at that. I don't know that he was pushing him through the corner, but he was certainly letting him know he was there.
Well, they almost match paint colors. There's the other yellow Mini, dives down the inside and gets the position from Kevin.
That's why Boehm was so fierce about Mark Pombo up in front going, come on, buddy, let's go.
That's his brother, Matt. Making some moves from the very tail end of this field.
Talk about being the perfect wingman, not just a teammate in the car, but your brother. Look at this, Smithson now up front, down to the inside, trying to go for the lead overall in the TCA. It's a drag race up, and Victor at a certain point realizes, well, I'm going to have to open it up here.
Uses a little bit of that pit lane exit. You got to be careful with that. That's very much can get called in terms of track limits as Block gets around Maxon.
Slides up into third in front of the Hyundai, chasing the two Hondas. Ooh, Smithson a little bit wide there, and Victor gets to his outside.
Ooh, was a little touch. Some argy-bargy going on here today, Greg. I love it.
Sure is. Victor's got his elbows up.
That was super tight as well.
And it's not exactly like Smithson in that Quello DXDT Honda Civic Type R TCR. He's going to go quietly. Yeah, that was some fun racing.
It really was, and it's so hard because as a driver, if you're in front, you got to be focused ahead because those corners are coming at you so quickly. You're not always aware exactly where your opponent has placed the car behind you.
See Olivia really closing it up on the back of those TCR competitors. Well clear of these guys. Gonzalez over Mark Pombo, over Matt Pombo, then championship leader and pole sitter Kevin Boehm.
He has got to do something. He's got to get back up the front. Try and not let Boehm's lead in the championship get too big as they head to Indianapolis in a couple of weeks.
He just trying to get to the outside. He's there now. He and Caleb Bacon, the Signal Hyundai to the left, and the Mini of Mejia to the right. And right behind them is the number 24 of Sir Shizen.
Caleb had a great podium run here on Friday. Big move down to the inside for the lead. Pombo goes for the apex. His brother's thinking about going there too. Gonzalez has dropped out of the lead.
He's trying to get to that outside shoulder. He's got to be careful because if he opens it up, Matt's coming right down to the inside like that. Now that's going to be a side-by-side run here, and Gonzalez just swung out a little bit.
That Pombo is hooked up in that yellow Mini.
Yes, he is. Boy, but that little traffic jam is a little boom to get to the outside. And if your car's working, you can stick it around the outside, but enough pace by Matt in that yellow Mini to fend Kevin off thus far.
See if Kevin's car comes to life here. Currently running in the 4th position, our championship leader. Blocked now. He gets around Gonzalez, so Gonzalez in a couple of laps has gone from the lead back to 3rd.
So you can see now what kind of pace Block can unleash here. Smithson has the fast lap at a 1:21.5. On that lap, it was a 22 flat for Block, but that was while he was racing and trying to get around Gonzalez.
We saw it over the course of this weekend. Despite a couple of wins, Tyler Maxson just does not seem to have the pace, the outright pace of some of the other front runners here.
When he's been able to get to the front, he's been able to control things a little bit from out there, but or up there, but has never been able to get those really quick laps that we're used to seeing from him with that remarkable run he's had this season.
Yeah, I think the wings may have been clipped a little bit with the Hyundai in terms of balance of performance. So that may be why we're seeing the big delta here this weekend.
CJ Moses doing a really nice job staying right on the back of Maxson at this stage.
Yeah, he was only a 1/10 of a second off of Maxson's fastest lap yesterday. So CJ Moses has really looked forward to returning to a circuit that he knows in a TCR car this weekend, and it showcases itself. He's still in the same frame as the leader. This is a great performance.
Again, CJ relatively new to pro racing here. He has that AWS CrowdStrike Honda hooked up today.
Matt Pombo, car number 62, is getting a warning for track limits, so he's made some moves. Oh, big debris
right
there.
Too. That's right at the exit of 8. Up into 9. Tyler Gonzalez takes a look at Matt. Not quite enough. Here comes Mejia. Only get down to the inside of Newcomb, and Newcomb had enough of an arc. He carried enough speed. He was able to thwart that.
Mark Pombo's taken off a little bit as this little scrap continues for second. Matt Pombo to the inside on Gonzalez. He's going to make that stick. Kevin Bowen may try and go with him. Not quite close enough.
I was going to say Boehm's presence right there didn't allow Gonzalez to be able to square up and really do the over-under move.
Curious to know about that debris, whether they're going to have to go safety car for that.
Find out where it came from here. Wonder if that was the track limit thing for Mark, throwing up a little dirt and debris.
I think it's his brother Matt who's been given the warning, and oh, there's the debris that comes off.
And it came off of Matt's car, I think, when he hit one of those sleeping policemen. All right, Gonzalez now, who dropped down behind Boehm, now gets a good run coming up the inside. And Mejia alongside Newcomb, right behind that duo. And Mejia, does he make it stick? They're still side by side. Newcomb doing a great job.
And the other
Finally,
Pombo,
he slides through. Sorry.
Yeah. Now the other Pombo, Mark, has been given a track limit warning for turn 9. So the Pombo brothers have got their minis to the front, but they've used all of the track and a little bit more to get there. See if that debris is gone. TCR cars have gone through that sector already. Right here, wasn't it?
Yeah, right at the exit. Well, yeah, nope, still there.
It's a little bit offline.
It is.
We'll let it go, but.
And you don't see a lot of side-by-side action through turn 9. So they may just let it sit for a little bit. And Sir Shizen now has slipped back behind that Mejia-Bacon battle. There he is, the 24. He's got his exhaust is dragging, it looks like, for Damon.
But Mejia's made some moves. He's now got on the tail of the championship leader, Kevin Boehm, there. So this will be critical. He's got to cut into that lead before we get to Indianapolis. Lead currently sits at 29 points. After those 5 consecutive victories for Kevin Bohm, you can see there the minis look strong here today. So he's got the pace on the straightaway with our race vision powered by AWS graphic there.
Pretty equal across all of those TCR machines, and that's the entire concept of that class. Different manufacturers, but all designed to a very, very technically specific spec, isn't it?
It is, but the one car you don't see there is our champion.
Yes.
In the Hyundai, so I think that's maybe where he's struggling a bit in straightaway speed this weekend.
Well, up front right now, the 2 Pombos are starting to ease away. Last time by start finish, Mark had a little over 2 seconds in hand over his brother Matt. Then Boehm was very close, but Matt right now has been able to not just drive away, but as you pointed out, Gonzalez able to get through. But Boehm getting a great run through turn 19. Not close enough to really do much with it.
Kevin's car looks really good here at this stage of the race, so he may have something to fight with and get back onto that podium and chase the minis again.
Well, here's your overall race leader and TCR, Scott Smithson. Quello entry.
2 wins on the year, so he's seen victory lane before this season. He's been really displaying great pace and confidence. I think that little bobble yesterday really cost him the chance of a win, because you can see right now he seems to be able to drive away from everyone.
Great run by Roy Block here, as he's within 2 seconds of Smithson across the line that time.
Their best lap separated by a mere 0.03 of a second.
It's incredible.
Much tighter than that.
Not at all. That is a sharp-looking car. Great program, KMR Motorsports with TMR Engineering. And they run these cars in another TCR championship as well. One of their team drivers came over and ran at Road America, Tim Lewis, and he was very strong as well. They've got a lot of track time in those Alphas, don't they?
They do. They've been really busy and you know, just racing every week it seems like. So just building the data, getting the notebook a little bit thicker.
Here's Maxon, as you talked about, that Motorsports Hyundai had that massive streak early. In this category, you know, the cars are built to this specific spec, but if one ends up really showing that, that they're a bit of a dominant car, by rule, they can make those balance of performance adjustments on the cars. Get them more reined in and equalized just a little bit. And that's a job that is as difficult as it gets, because you're trying to balance different types of manufacturers, yes, running the same engine size and same specs, but different manufacturers that homologate their cars in a certain way, and then you've got to make these changes, knowing that at this track, this car should be better. How much do we rein them in? I mean, it's a difficult job.
Yeah, it's an evolving process, and every circuit can be a different animal in terms of how these cars will perform. But we certainly noticed at Road America they didn't have the best weekend, had a few technical issues there, despite grabbing a win in the first round of the weekend. But just didn't seem to have the pace. But rebounded here, 2 wins, despite not having the fastest car in the field. So that's really a testimony, I feel, to Tyler Maxon's ability and patience and poise to be able to run a car. It's easy when you got the dominant car to just to drive away from the field, but to get those sort of results when you don't have the speed is really impressive.
Now, when he was running in TCA and putting together some really, really strong performances there, there were tracks where the Mazda he was running in that was really good, but tracks where it wasn't. And he exhibited that same kind of, well, I'll take what I can get, and then if I get gifted something, is so much the better. And we saw that that patience we've talked about a fair amount this weekend, Cal. We saw it from Maxon early.
And I'm curious to know what happens when Matt Pombo, if he can, get to the tail end of his brother, because Mark's problems this summer really taking him out of the championship hunt. So I don't think he's got really anything to help his brother with, and I'm sure they'd both like to get victory here today.
Absolutely, and check into pit lane, where I think, to our good fortune, Ryan Marine was right in mini JCW paddock.
The addition of Matt Pombo isn't going to factor into the Drivers' Championship. Remember, if you come in having not participated in a race prior to the final 2 rounds of the season, you're basically invisible from a driver's points perspective. That car still does help with the manufacturer's championship, and that's why we do see Matt drafted in to help the team right here to try and add just a little bit more to the mini assault on the manufacturer's championship. If we drop back a little bit from these lead two minis, the other mini of Tomas Mejia was slated to start second, but they had an issue with their fuel pump earlier today, and that caused them to miss pre-grid. As a result, they had to start at the back of this field, and Tomas has done a nice job knifing through to get into the position he is now. But that next spot is the crucial one, trying to keep himself in that championship fight. Kevin Boehm has been so strong here as of late, and talking to Louis Pericarpi, who runs this LAP Motorsports team that runs these minis, he said he feels kind of bad for Tomas because things out of his control have really let him down. They had a tire issue yesterday, now the fuel pump issue this morning, causing him to lose points yesterday and have a bigger fight ahead of him today. He's really quite complimentary, though, of his young driver who's doing a great job with difficult circumstances.
Curious to know on the technicality of that, because this is a makeup race from earlier in the season. So does it count as a late round or one of the early rounds?
That's a really good point that you make there, and I need to get some clarification on that. Going back here now and watching this battle, Gonzalez and Boehm now under attack from a recovering Mejia, and had to go and protect just a little bit here.
Every point is precious in the title. So for Tomas Mejia, he has to get around Kevin Boehm, try and cut into that gap, which is at 29 points. And he'd love to get up with his teammates and get to the front of the pack, get on that podium and score some bigger points here today, but got a lot of work to do. Still 17 minutes to go, though.
And I know we've got a fair amount of racing, as you said, still to go here, but I just want to look ahead for just a minute at Indianapolis. That's never been on the World Challenge schedule back in Pirelli World Challenge days, or now GT World Challenge America days. So a lot of drivers don't have a lot of track time there. One who does, Boehm. That could be a big advantage for him going into that
huge
finale.
I think as much as just knowing it from driving the circuit, but also in terms of how to dial the car and what to start the weekend with. And I really think that that track has a little similar flow to this one. You got long straightaway, you got this flowing sort of type corners. So got a feeling that if you start off there with what you end up here, you might be in good shape to start the weekend.
When Kevin had raced there, he has done it in equipment that's fairly similar to what these cars are. So, yeah, he's got a pretty good data book. But look at this, Mejia noses ahead. It's going to be an out-braking duel down in. Kevin takes it in super deep. Mejia's going to try and square down. Boom, runs a little wide. Oh, and look at this. Caleb Bacon jumps to the inside of Mejia as they get into turn 13. There's a touch right there. And Caleb ran right over to that exit curb, and I'm sure Mejia was going, well, you should give me a little room here.
Yeah, so tough to finish it off, though, right? Even though he used him up a little bit. Good hard racing. That's allowed Kevin to just scamper off a little bit here.
Caleb, though, he's not giving up, not working the outside, and that triple apex right-hander.
Suddenly Thomas doesn't want to give him much room, and finally Caleb gets the job done, does he?
He is still there on his shoulder. Oh, that's good close racing. That was, what, 4 or 5 corners, and there was that little touch, but it wasn't anything massively egregious. I think Mejia's going to put in the book there that Caleb didn't give him a whole lot of room. And here's the game you were talking about. Matt has caught Mark. There, the orange mini being Mark leading, and then Matt. And Matt is just going into station keeping mode, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I'm curious to know if if he will just sit there. I mean, either way, if he's invisible in points, it won't count really if he grabs the win. And also, you know, Mark's a long way back.
Yes.
You know, he's 70-odd points behind the championship leader, so to think that he's really in with a shot at this championship is not being realistic. So, see what his brother wants to do.
Yeah, it's mathematically possible, but highly unlikely. And that's a good point. If he is invisible, then it really doesn't matter. And they, you know, as long as for the manufacturers, you get a mini 1-2 up front. If he's invisible, the points doesn't much matter which mini it is, does it? So that's a great point.
And the real key here is the tire degradation. The minis are renowned for using their tires up here a little bit. So we'll have to wait and see if they can hang on here and maintain the pace that they've been demonstrating so far.
Haven't really seen them throwing those cars around very much. Obviously very mindful of the tire wear. Is some of that down to the fact that the minis, have a slightly smaller wheelbase than the others, so that big stability under braking and in long corners, Mini doesn't quite have it. Here we go, Matt pops, and look at that mark. That's smart. Just, yep, let him go.
Yeah, I mean, he really caught him in a hurry and cleared him. It's pretty impressive. That 62 car has got a little bit more pace here today.
Oh, this isn't done, is it? Look at that, going at it again.
Turn 15, slowest corner on the racetrack.
He just stays put to the inside. I wonder now if Caleb tries to stay around the outside, is he going to run him a little bit wider? And looking in the background, he's through.
Yeah, he's got to regroup here. He's got to get his head down once again. Caleb has really been a thorn in his side here in terms of thinking about the big picture of the championship and trying to come through from the back of the pack. That was tight.
This is interesting. If you ask you who is flying right now.
CJ Moses got around Maxon.
He sure did.
Great run for CJ here today. Definitely strongest performance of the season.
Without a doubt. And again, for a relatively new and inexperienced driver at the pole level, that coming back to a track you've raced on and have some understanding, that's paying big dividends, isn't it? Ooh.
He hangs on to it, but
he did.
It's good to see her back in the fight, regrouped after that early spin.
As we watch Boehm gather it up onto the front straight, it's down to pit lane again.
Well, you guys were talking about Moses and just how comfortable he looks behind the wheel. He told me before this race something clicked for him in the second race of the weekend yesterday. He felt really, really good about the race car, about the progress that they had made. And his plan was just to stay in line at the start and do his best to try and follow some of the fast guys through. He felt like he had the pace to hang with them, and so far so good according to that plan. He's doing the best we've seen him do all season long.
He got into that little bit of a scrap, obviously trying to work his way around Maxon, which no doubt slowed him up a little bit. So now he's got a bit of a gap to Gonzalez. But yeah, up until that point, he was staying with some very, very quick drivers up at the sharp end of things. And that something clicks. Sometimes that's just confidence, right? When you finally, you go, okay, the car feels good, everything feels good here. That's what can inspire you to start to explore those limits. Yeah,
just one weekend at a track that you know and are familiar with, and you're in your comfort zone, and you're suddenly there with the big boys and running up front. It just really moves you to the next level.
And Olivia showing her ability to fight back just a little bit, as I said, down a lap, but showing some really good runs, and as at points in this has shown, obviously she got bottled up a little bit in the last lap and lost a second or so, but showing some really good lap times.
Oh, really impressive. A 2:20.9 is her fastest lap of the day. Is her teammate Smithson, a 2:20.4. So she has the third fastest race lap right now. So I would have to assume there were no technical issues. She just lost it on relatively cold tires there on that opening lap. So she's regrouped nicely. We take another look at the race vision powered by AWS fastest trap speed. This is going down into the turn 12 brake zone. TCA, you can see the minis really strong. Subaru's hanging in there as well.
Sure is. Bednau's in that 127. That's impressive. Your tires working hard here. I'm kind of curious here in the last lap. Moses turned his personal best, a 2:21.8 to Gonzalez's 2:22.7. Cal.
Yeah,
that's impressive stuff. And you think blocks 2:20.5, so yeah, this is an impressive run by CJ.
Yeah, he's got just under 10 minutes to go. If he can get his head down, I think the key is going to be whether Olivia kind of dampens his progress here. Probably the team needs to say, just sit behind CJ, see if he can catch Gonzalez. for that final podium position. That would be a huge result for the CrowdStrike team.
Sure would. The margin right now is 2.4 seconds. Gonzalez has drifted backwards and block here to the tune of about 12 seconds. So up front, Smithson and Block in their own world right now, but things are getting interesting behind them.
Yeah, it's intense up front. I think both drivers, Smithson and Block, are really hard on it. Their fastest lap separated by just at 1/10 of a second, and the gap is under 3. So there's a bit of time. If Smithson sees any more TCA traffic, that could be pivotal in terms of allowing Roy Block to get back to his rear bumper.
There, Victor Gonzalez, and there. To me, did Olivia get through on Moses? And that might not be the worst thing either, because she clearly has really got some pace here. And so if she's in front, she can maybe help pull CJ around a little bit. He could focus on what she's doing, find that speed and draft you know, down the straights, etc. In the background, make sure that's the case. But
the traffic help that Roy Block
yes.
may have been looking for may have gone the other way. He had to fight through those 2 TCA cars going through the tight turn 12 apex.
Just saw in TCA that there's a huge battle. It's for 7th, but a big battle between the teammates, Damon Sarkisian and Kevin Anderson. And the interesting story there is Damon's the client, Anderson's the team owner. See how much fun they're willing to have. Here we go. See the margin. That's the 2 Pombos and the Minis. Then the gap to Gonzalez officially. Looking at it here, about 3 seconds thereabouts.
Oh, Smithson really late on the blades. He's got to be careful there as Kevin Bohm goes to the apex. Big commitment there from Smithson. He has to be careful there as he cuts his way through traffic. He doesn't get tripped up.
And obviously, yeah, Smithson didn't want to get stuck in traffic, but you really don't want to do something that's going to affect a battle in a different class for the top 3. And so he's strapped just a little bit right now, but the good news for him is Block is as well.
Yeah, and there's a good 100 horsepower delta between the TCA machines and the TCR cars. So up the straightaways, they just leap alongside you, come from a long way back, and with the width of this racetrack as well, again, unless you're really paying attention, looking in your rearview mirrors and seeing that driver coming at that rapid rate of knots, it's easy to miss them and just turn into the corner.
I think this exchange in traffic is definitely going to be helping Smithson. He's out and on to 11, out of 11 already. There comes Block.
Oh, that's huge. It's
yeah.
Really opened up.
It certainly has. And that Gonzalez, Boa, Mejia, Bacon battle. So Smithson now has cleared the TCA field, and Block is going to get everybody except the top 2 here as he gets down into 11. So now they've got to go all the way through that stadium section, Cal. See if he's going to try and figure out some creative way to get through on that.
Minis will be pretty quick through this tight, twisty section. It's really whether through that fast, high-speed triple right-hander, whether he gets balked there at all and loses a bit of pace. Here it comes. Probably going to catch Mark through the middle of this one.
See what he opts to do here. He is. He's going to try and swing around. Does. And this little bit of an exchange has brought Boehm right literally to the bumper of Gonzalez.
And that Hyundai really seems to accelerate very well between those final 2 corners. But look at Thomas Mejia. He's got his head down and is closed in on this gap. Boehm will be seeing him there and thinking, I cannot let him catch me and get by him with 5+ minutes to go.
Boehm got a good run out of 20, but couldn't swing around the outside. He would have eventually run out of track, so he had to just breathe it, cut back over a little bit. That's going to allow, as you said, Mejia to get closer still. And Mejia has been able to drop Bacon a little bit. So now he can just focus on getting forward, going after points leader Boehm.
Yeah, Mejia took 7/10 out of that gap there on Kevin Boehm, our championship leader, on that 1 lap alone. That's massive. continues at that pace, he's definitely going to put the heat on before the checkered flag.
And just going back, that bit of traffic we talked about, block catching at Smithson cleared, that margin went from 2.3 to 5.3 seconds. That's how quick it can happen.
Yeah, and Roy was hoping it would go the other way.
Exactly.
It'd be a 2-3 second swing the other way and he'd be right on his tail, but it just didn't work out.
And now Gonzalez in the TCR car, Gonzalez Jr., the 99, is catching the back of that queue of TCA cars, and he has Olivia Askew right behind him. And not too far adrift to her is CJ, so if he gets badly balked in this traffic, it can change the dynamic a little bit here.
Olivia Askew has been consistently the fastest driver on the circuit through the second half of this race.
Yeah, she is flying out there right now.
She's caught Gonzalez, right, and got by him.
Yeah, she did.
So, question of what if today.
Yeah.
She may be mad at herself if she feels she made that little mistake and trying to showcase what she could have done here today.
I think that might be exactly it. Just got a little of that proverbial red mist, but she's channeling it in the right direction here. Just flying right now. Gonzalez gets parked a little bit there.
She's having fun.
Yeah.
That's the TCA leader. She didn't really give him too much respect there. So slices down to the inside. Gonzalez now does the same thing. It allows the two Pombos and the two Minis to get a little bit closer to one another.
And behind them, Boehm and Gonzalez really close. There's CJ Moses swinging way out. Just giving everybody a lot of room. And you can see Gonzalez able to squirt clear acceleration out of turn 20, and it's bringing, again, Mejia right up onto the back of Boehm. These two brothers are having some fun. I remember back early days of my announcing, when I was announcing the runoffs when they were still in Road Atlanta, and calling these guys dad around the track, to a lot of success there. Pepe Pombo over the years.
Yeah, I raced against Pepe one season. I think it was '89, the Race Truck Challenge. Good fun. Look at this. Maxon and CJ Moses. This is for position. This is for fourth place in class. Maxon makes the move.
Actually, Cal, I think that was Boehm.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Nope, hey, I do it too all the time. There's CJ.
There's CJ.
But that little exchange, look, I mean, what a great run Mejia put on. Read that really well, and he might, he's down the inside of Boehm now if he can hang on at the exit here.
Now Maxon's on CJ.
Yes, you were just
Prophesizing.
exactly.
If that's a word.
Yeah. Fortune telling. See what happens here. That's CJ. They'd open it up a little bit, and then all of this battling in traffic with the multi-classes has brought Maxon back up to Moses. And that margin from Gonzalez to Moses is 4 seconds as of the last lap. Moses is still running a little bit quicker than Victor on a clear track when he got a clear run here, but white flag's coming out, so might just be too little too late. But boy, his run through traffic, Scott Smithson just went through it beautifully, and that's built it up big time here.
Max is going to try and keep the heat on,
Yes,
even though the
he is.
championship is already his. I love the fighting spirit that he's showing, and not getting too fighty. It's easy to get really frustrated and get a bit too aggressive with your driving style, but he's done a nice job at controlling all of that. I'm sure the emotions are high. When you're used to dominating, winning on a regular basis, to suddenly be struggling to be just inside the top 5 is not a great day.
No, and as you said, you've got to channel that in the right direction. The brothers Pombo continue to run 1-2. Matt over Mark, yellow and black over orange. Then Tyler Gonzalez, kind of a little bit alone by himself in that Copeland Motorsports Hyundai Veloster, and then that battle with points. Affectations here, Boehm and Mejia. There they are, just at the back of the frame. CJ in that CrowdStrike AWS entry.
Really rolls great speed through there. He's done a nice job here.
Yeah, he's looking really, really strong.
Should be a feather in his cap to finish ahead of the champion.
He has been he's been throwing down some really stout laps as well. It's been, ooh, big lockup by Maxon. I think maybe something broke.
Yeah, something went amiss there.
Yeah, as he went to the brakes and something let go because suddenly just the wheels locked and you don't see that.
Yeah, not sure if he had a suspension or a tire issue that creates a crossweight issue across the front when you go to the brakes there.
Well, look at how close CJ is. Let's watch it again. Oh yeah, is that right rear tire? Looked like I saw a little bit of a pop of some sort.
Yeah, that was really bizarre. Something from the
was.
right front as well.
All right, here we go, though. After earning 2 in Road America, Scott Smithson picks up 1 in the next event. What a roll he's on. Superb run by Scott Smithson in the DXDT Quello Honda Civic Type R at Circuit of the Americas. Watching this little battle here. There's Matt, but look how close Tyler's getting to Mark here in this last couple of corners.
Yeah, we talk about the tire deck, and maybe that's starting to come into effect here in the last couple of laps because Gonzalez has really closed in on the minis.
And Mejia has gone around. Thought he did, but Boehm was able to hang on to it. So here we go, last corner. Boehm doing everything he can. So Matt Pombo will roll onto the front straight, take the win, help Mini out in manufacturer's points. But in terms of driver's points, Pombo will get the max with Gonzalez. And then Boehm and Mejia, and that was huge for Kevin Boehm to make sure that he was able to keep Mejia behind him.
Yeah, just sneak out another couple of points in that championship lead. It should be unofficially 31 points headed to Indy. The streak has been broken at 5 for Kevin Boehm.
It sure has. And then Scott Smithson, along with the win, he gets the coveted CrowdStrike fastest lap award, 2-minute 20.488 second lap. And boy, he has really been a bit of a revelation, especially the second half of this. Like I said, had never done any pro racing coming into the season. Took the first few races for him to really sort of figure everything out, but man, did he come alive, particularly at Road America.
He did, and certainly showcasing the car and his ability on the last lap. He ran a 2:20.49 against his fastest lap of a 2:20.48. Wow. So the car still had plenty to give if he was going to be challenged.
That is impressive. Strong run that he able to put on here, and what a revelation he's been. And being part of this program now. DXDT, bringing him along. And again for Olivia, looking at the speed she was showing. As you pointed out, it was I think a coulda, woulda, shoulda moment if that wouldn't have happened early. Boy, was she quick.
Absolutely, she was really flying today.
Well, and as you take a look here at the famous tower at Circuit of the Americas, let's take a look at the provisional results. See Smithson blocking Gonzalez Jr. at the podium in the TCR category, with Moses looking mighty impressive and Askew looking really fast. So great there. Then in the TCA category, the brothers Pombo, again, Matt getting the win over Mark. Gonzalez right in the mix, and then Boehm fending off Mejia and opening that points lead just a little bit more. And Caleb Bacon and Damon Sarkisian winning the battle of the Subarus there over team owner Kevin Anderson and Ben Bettenhausen. And Newcomb, that was interesting. He was having a really racy go at it, and then something happened. We didn't really see what happened, or I missed it. He didn't finish. Take a look at some highlights here from round 14. From pole, Victor Gonzalez jumps into the lead. Olivia Askew trying to get through, but Smithson is going to work around the outside here. But for Olivia, things were going to get a little too interesting here.
Yeah, she allows her teammate to make the move up into second as they head down through the S's on the opening lap. She just loses the rear end. Quick spin, got stuck in the gravel, lost a couple of laps, but boy, her drive through the field was impressive here.
It really, really was. And that's great battling in the TCA category. Kevin Boehm working on the number 60 of Tomas Mejia after he fought his way up, but then Caleb Bacon came in and joined the party, and it got real interesting.
Well, these two guys had an awesome race all day long, just going at it.
And then right there, big moment for Tyler Maxson. Something looked to have let go on the car. Don't know definitively what it was, but he still had already clinched the championship earlier in the weekend. And Smithson, Honda, and DXDT getting the win here in TCR. And it was a Mini and Brothers Pombo sweep. The top two steps on the podium in TCA. And Tyler Gonzalez bringing it home in third. And Aaron's that Mini JCW team. And there is a good look at that winning machine. And I've just been mega impressed with what Scott Smithson has been able to do, particularly with the lack of his pro experience. It doesn't mean you haven't experienced some really good racing. And he has done plenty of that at the club level, and that's a car that's been through the wars a little bit.
Yeah, the Aero was not exactly the cleanest, as you can tell, but certainly didn't hurt his pace here today. And we talked about the fastest lap and then almost matching it to the thousandths of a second on the very last lap of the race.
Yeah.
Super impressive. He's got to be pumped and looking forward to Indy, I would think.
And great consistency. Yeah, exactly. Looking forward to Indy and looking forward to a chat with Ryan Marine.
Well, a third win on the season now for Scott Smithson. It seems like things are rounding into form for you guys a little bit. You happy with the momentum you're building heading into the finale?
Yeah, it's been great. We had a rough start. Thursday I went in the wall, and the car looks a little beat up, but team was awesome. They got it back together, and and yesterday was a little rough. Spun in the S's again, so I had a rough time in the S's, but yeah, overall feeling good.
The learning process over the course of this season, making the step into these TCR cars, how much more comfortable are you today than you were when we were here the first time back in March?
Oh, it's night and day.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge. It's a totally different thing running a front-wheel drive car, so it's taking me some time, but we're getting there.
Congratulations on the win.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah, if he's thinking, well, we're getting there, I'm not there yet, boy, for the rest of this field, that's going to have to be a bit of a concern. As we take a look now at those TCR results at this stage, and you know, aside from driving a front-wheel drive car for the first time and having to learn all of that nuance, a lot of these tracks he's probably never raced on either, so he's doubling up on that as well. And let's get down and hear from I believe it's Matt Pombo with Ryan Marine.
That's right. It's kind of plug and play, I think, with the Pombo brothers in these minis. You got a lot of experience with them over the years. And to jump in and deliver for the OEM, for Mini, I think that was the goal today, right? You bring home a 1-2.
Yeah, the goal today, I can't thank these guys enough. You know, LAP, they're the best crew in this paddock at every level they prep. Got to thank Mini for giving me the opportunity to jump in and try to help the manufacturer. Got to thank my brother, Mark. This is actually his win. We were cruising through. I said, look, let's switch, and you follow me for a bit.
That's how it's done.
And I never had a chance to give it back to him. So this is actually, he should be here. So I can't thank enough everybody here. It's great racing. Everybody was very respectful. It's like an old bike when you get in a Mini. There's nothing like a Mini Cooper driving, from back to the front. Got to thank everybody, and I love you, bro.
Yeah, how much fun is it to race with your brother?
It is what we grew up doing, so it's kind of tough that, we don't get to do it as much anymore, but like you put us on a track together and we're one, like I'm his wing, so we try to help each other out. Whoever's leading usually wins because we don't fight each other, just try to go. So
thanks for putting on the show, guys. It was awesome.
Yeah, look at that. You love it. Good Thanksgiving dinners with that family.
Yeah, racing stories are immense and can relate to their father, who's been a big part of their sport.
Absolutely. Take a look now at the provisional TCA results. Again, the brothers Pombo, then Gonzalez, Boehm, and Mejia rounding up the top 5. A good fight for Tyler Gonzalez to get himself another podium. He's had one of those roller coaster seasons as well. And boy, I'll tell you, Caleb Bacon was racy today. Fun to see. And again, a good strong run for Canada's David Sarkisian, Anderson, Bettenhausen, and then Newcomb rounding out that TCA field. So interesting. Done here, obviously, for our visit to Circuit of the Americas as we take a look at the respective points. Tyler, of course, already clinching here. You can take a look at the rest of them. But going to Indianapolis, we talked about, not a lot of drivers have experience there. The ones that do, like a Boehm, certainly going to have a bit of an advantage, but what a venue to be racing at, obviously. And the track, even though it doesn't have elevation like this one does, it still presents lots of challenges. It should be fun.
It really should, and I think everyone's very much on top of their game now. You're really seeing teams and drivers have tremendous pace, so it should be a great shootout for a couple of rounds to finish off the season.
Absolutely. As we look at those TCA points, this one's not done yet. Mejia is going to do everything he possibly can, and we are looking forward to seeing how it plays out at Indianapolis. But thanks for joining us here at Circuit of the Americas. For Calvin and for Ryan Marine, doing a great job down in pit lane for us. I'm Greg Creamer. It's been a pleasure coming at you here from Circuit of the Americas. We look forward to having you join us from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.